Hey everyone, and welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. This is episode 308, recorded on February 11th, 2025. And my name is Steve, and of course, I am joined by Greg. How you doing, Greg?
Doing all right, hanging in there. Had a lot of personal stuff been going around in the behind the scenes here, but still managed to hold it in here. And yep, and unfortunately Barry can't join us tonight because I know he's feeling under the weather from getting some illness there too. So
Yeah. Yeah, so you just got Greg and me on this episode, but we're excited to be here and talk Nintendo with you guys. We've got a lot of headlines to cover tonight. We're going to be talking about Switch sales numbers and uh, price increase or not increase or decreasing, all those different things. NSO updates, some other games that are getting updates, along with Cat Quest 3, one of our favorites, getting a pretty big update. And we're also going to be talking also about some Switch 2 updates and things like that in our main discussion. But before we jump into any of that, we just want to thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode. And as we've kind of addressed already, I think Barry is actually in our chat, so he's not doing too well. He's under the weather, but he's joined us in our live chat along with some others there. So if you are in our live chat, either on YouTube or Twitch, be sure to say hi and let us know what you guys think about all the stories that we're talking about and everything else throughout the episode. We do record these live every other Tuesday on 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, streaming on both YouTube and Twitch. Love for you guys to join us live if you can, but if not, it's available on all your YouTube, or on over on YouTube, and also on your podcast apps on demand after the fact. So love to have you guys. Either way, we enjoy having you in the live chat. But if you can't make it, we can also jump over to the on demand version, video or audio. But I think all that's out of the way. Oh yeah, forgot. Do go over and follow us on social media as well. But let's jump into what we have been playing, and of course, we're gonna go to you first, Greg, because Barry's not here. So, what have you been playing?
yeah, you don't want to still talk and you can cover first.
Yeah.
All right, so before like a lot of my personal in life drama started, I did get a little bit of time on Switch, and most of it is just going through like some of the game chat stuff that we'll be doing. So ones that will be coming up pretty here soon is Tap Wizard 2 and also the Bright Lights of Sevlov. And then pretty much one of the ones that was done at the towards the end of last year was Soko Penguin. So I finally got a good chance to play through and finish up that one even. So I initially had played a little bit before, but then like they had both Barry and Steve had fully recorded the game chat without me, but I finally have my full piece to go through on that. So Soko Penguin's a little fun little puzzler game where it's like it's kind of primarily with just pushing like a little block to solve different puzzles, whether it's on like a patch of ice or just like into obstacles or just trying to like pretty much destroy them out of your way so then you can get to your little home on the igloo. So every single level has like a switch that can be triggered to make the bridge to appear, and then it's just basically just solving the puzzle in one way or another. I mean, I did really enjoy a lot of the puzzles. I did complete all 100 of them. And one of the things that was really interesting is how they kind of changed it up like every single 10 levels. It's kind of they added like a different element into it. So like eventually you'll get pushing into like a switch. Then there's even some that do two switches, and then some change the terrain to a complete sheet of ice. So then it's reminiscent of like doing like the ice caverns from Ocarina of Time, where the when you push the block, it just slides until it hits like either an obstacle or something for it to destroy, and then so then the puzzles were able to vary based like even every 10, like every single like I guess world that you would kind of call it to kind of change it up just a little bit different. So the final world kind of included stuff from like a lot of the different worlds, including a few levels fully with like the ground made of ice, but then also like making sure that like you kind of like remembered how to like navigate through, and like some blocks if they're moved in the wrong way then they can block your heed your progress, and then you either have to like, restart or something or other to try to um basically reset the level. So I was really happy that you do have like an easy reset button where you can just instantly just restart if you do recognize you make a mistake. But I did really enjoy solving all through them there. So definitely a big thanks to East Asia Soft for getting me the code for that. Um, and then in terms of the other games I've just been playing, I've also been doing the Roblox game with my daughter with the Adopt Me primarily, and then there's been a few other ones that we kind of jump in from time to time, but nothing like super significant to mention there. And then still playing the Disney Pixel RPG. So they finally launched Chapter 4 pretty recently, and they've also announced that Chapter 5 will be coming next month. So that's kind of nice that they're building out the story mode after like the first nearly 100 days of them not adding a single episode to the story. So
Wow.
um, yeah, it's been a lot more of the limited time events and to try to like, here, you got to pull these characters before they go away in 2 weeks or whatever. So um, it's kind of like a much slower paced version than like Fire Emblem Heroes, where you're just kind of like they add in so many characters every single week, and this one's just like pretty much like once every like 2 or 3 weeks that you get like one new Disney character.
Wow.
So, but there's a lot more grindiness to like leveling them up and increasing their rarity and all this other stuff too. So there's a
Hmm.
lot more stuff to materials to collect to more like further optimize each one.
Cool. Cool. If you're following along in the live chat, be sure to let us know what you've been playing as well. I actually played a lot more than I typically do, and I was interested to see how my list was going to match up with Barry's, because I thought maybe I actually might be topping his list this year, at least, or this week at least, coming close to it. But I booted up Tetris Forever. I got that for on the that deal, like winter sale thing or whatever having on the eShop, and played through the videos, both the original Tetris, so like the one that just is made out of like on the green screen, and like you're just the brackets that kind of make up the tetraminos themselves. That was interesting. Played on the PC and Japan version, and then I played the brand new Tetris Time Warp edition as well, and that was fun. It was cool to just like play like mainline Tetris that you know today, but then every so often you have these other tetraminos that fall down, and based on when they hit, they'll they set you up to take you to a different version of Tetris whenever you take that line away. And so it may send you back into, the very first version, or it may send you into the Game Boy version, or it may send you into whatever. And your goal is to get as many lines or do whatever the challenge is while you're there, and then when the time runs out, they'll send you back to your main game. So it's kind of a little hectic, and it kind of throws you a little bit, because you want to like kind of having this kind of mindset of like, I'm playing this game, but then you get shifted into another version for a second, and you're like, oh right, what was I doing, when you come back to the main version? So it kind of throws you for a loop for a little bit, but it's not in a bad way. It's fun, and it changes up Tetris a little bit. So that's pretty cool. It's in that whole line of games. So that one, we played the version 2. I forget what it was. It was like that developer story. Do you remember what it was, Greg? The, we did a game chat on it too. Forget what
Yeah,
his
it was like
name
that.
was.
I think it was it was like the Llama Soft. I don't remember the
Yeah,
guy's actual name. I think it was like that Llama Soft collection. I think is what
that's
you're
right.
referring to. But I'm blanking on the name as well because I'm not usually the best with like names
Yeah.
either.
But yeah, that was the second game in the series, and Tetris Forever is the third game in the series. So that's it was cool to play through that. I'm excited to check out more of the documentary as well. I also played a game called Macross Shooting Insight that Barry and I are going to be doing a game chat on pretty soon. It is a shooter that's let's see. It's kind of all of the above. And when you think of a shooter, it's pretty much everything, because it's vertical scrolling, it's horizontal scrolling, and it's also a twin stick free roaming shooter. So it kind of depends on what level or what part of the level what you're doing. You kind of shift back and forth throughout the whole thing. Um, Ended up also getting Box Boy and Box Girl. I think all three of us ended up getting that game on that sale as well, and played through I
Yeah.
think four of the worlds. I think is so far how far I got. How far have you gotten, Greg? Because I know you played a little bit too.
I downloaded it. I actually didn't even
Oh, you
open
didn't
it
actually
up,
play it. Okay.
unfortunately.
No.
I'd played all the 3DS ones, and then
Oh.
when Barry told me this is like a brand new game that was on Switch, I was like, how the heck did I miss this? Because as I said, I loved them on 3DS, but I didn't realize that they made put any on Switch.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about moving forward in that as well. As Greg said, I also played Bright Lights of Svetlov. So we'll do a game chat on that pretty soon. It is a very interesting game. That's all I'm going to say so far. And a little spoiler alert: I may have started to get sick playing it. I'm interested to see what Barry says about it too. Maybe that's why he's not here tonight. He said he was under the weather. It's probably because he was playing that game. Played Tap Wizard 2, which we're also going to do another game chat, as Greg said, and that's going to be coming up soon. Another game chat game that'll be coming up with me and Barry is a game called Freddy Farmer, which is kind of it's like an old style, like arcade type of game, similar to um, Donkey Kong or what was the first Mario game? Why am I blanking on that? When he was like still a construction worker, Wrecking Crew, and so something like that kind of style. But you're a farmer whose daughter gets kidnapped by a dragon. And then you have to go and talk to a wizard and collect certain things, and so that was interesting. And then played some more Life is Strange Double Exposure, and actually ended up buying it because the last time I did the trial and played through a whole 2 chapters, and it kept letting me play over and over and over again. And so, but then when I shut it down, it told me I couldn't play the trial anymore, so I had to buy it. But I'm through 3 of the 5 chapters so far, and I am still pretty confused at what's going on. Like, there's some things that I figured out and kind of guessed what was going to happen ahead of time, but I still am so confused at like what is happening in this story. It's beyond comprehension, and I'm excited for you to play it eventually, Greg, because this one is
Yeah.
definitely it's throwing me for a loop.
Yeah, and I still have to play the first two. Some of the Life of Arcadia that's just been on the list, and been swarmed with the game chat, so it's like way back there now.
Yeah. And then, of course, played Rocket League. Not a whole lot, but I played a little bit. Clash Royale, and still plugging away at the Pokemon card game mobile on my phone. And yeah, I have Barry to thank to that one that I'm kind of addicted and playing that on a regular basis, multiple times a day. So thanks, Barry, for getting me stuck on the Pokemon card game. But it's really interesting because I never got into the actual card game because it was going to be too much math for me to try to just stay on top. They're like, okay, this card does this and it modifies this, and how many points did you hit that? It was just like never something I got into. But having it just automatically calculated on my phone, I am really getting into it and
Yeah.
collecting all the cards and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be a lot easier to get into something like that instead of having to own the physical cards and then tracking them down and build the deck building and
Yep. And so many people like spend a ton of money on Pokemon cards, and I have spent zero money on digital cards whatsoever. So I've got a ton of Pokemon cards. They're just all digital on my phone instead.
I mean, you could easily go to McDonald's right now because had taken my daughter there and they are have the Pokemon card packs inside the Happy Meals. So like, that's
Ah,
usually a very easy way to collect some easy cards, and it's usually also a pretty decent portioned meal as opposed to all the other stuff that they have on the menu, obviously. But
yeah. I go to McDonald's every once in a while, and I saw that they have an advertisement like Pokestop, new Pokestop, and I was like, why did they put an old poster up? That was my initial thought because I was like, wasn't Pokemon Go like a thing? Like I still occasionally play it, but wasn't it like a big thing back in like 2019, 2020? But it's yeah, it apparently is. They're trying to make another push with McDonald's Happy Meal toys.
And I guess Barry's saying they also give the packets if you use the app, like I guess at the McDonald's as well too. So that's interesting to see there.
Oh, maybe I will have to try that out. Have to go get some chicken McNuggets or something. Um, yeah, so continue to let us know what you guys have been playing in the chat. Looks like Jakester is in the chat and saying he played Hello Kitty Island Adventure, which, if you've not checked out his gameplay video, it is now on our YouTube channel. Make sure you check that out. He said it's a very fun game, does a lot of things that it does as someone who usually doesn't stick with Animal Crossing games for that long. So yeah, I know when he was telling me when he was playing it and getting the video ready for us that he played it a lot longer than he expected. And so I think it was probably one of those games that he did not really plan on spending as much time with. And he actually apologized to me. It's a little behind the scenes, but he said the video is longer than I intended because I kept wanting to play and kept wanting to figure out what was happening next. So that's cool. And then, of course, played some Pokemon Sleep and Pikmin Bloom, which he's continuing to do that as well. So yeah, let us know what you guys have been playing in the chat or afterwards as well. Did Barry let us? He's in the chat. Did he let us know what he's playing, or he's just going to save that for the next episode? I think.
Yeah, I think he said you'll have to wait and find out next week or something. That was like way back that he put that in the chat.
Okay. Okay.
Says you'll
So
have to wait 2 weeks, then you'll notice that you played more.
nice. Oh, that I did play more. Wow. That's a mark this down episode 308. I finally played more than Barry. That's a different thing for sure. Um, Greg, we are almost halfway through February. I don't know how that happened. But I'm curious how you're doing with your New Year's resolutions. You stick with any of them yet so far?
I don't usually make too many of them, to be
Okay.
honest, because like I know they don't get kept very much. But there was one that I did want to try to increase my physical activity, and just due to a lot of the personal issues going on, like I had like the sty in my eye in January, and then now like the other stuff that's going around in the background, I haven't really been able to sign up for a gym quite yet, but there's still obviously a lot more of the year left to make progress on that.
That's true. Yeah. And I heard most people actually quit by the time they're about like halfway through January is usually when most people like quit on their New Year's resolutions. But one thing I've been trying to do more this year is drinking Magic Mind almost every day. I began incorporating it into my morning routine, and I'm continuing to see this lasting improvement on my focus and my mental performance. In fact, it's helped me to stay true to some of my other resolutions because of the lasting focus that it's been able to provide me. So, whether it's like during my work hours or playing video games, I can definitely see a big difference, especially in the days that I don't drink it. So now that I've drank it for a while, you have too, Greg. What's your experience been like so far?
Yeah, so like I was given like the ones that increase like the daily like performance, like and gives you like the extra vitamins to help you go through it. It's almost similar to like a caffeine type shot, and I've unfortunately exhausted the packs of those that I've had. But like when I was on it, I definitely had seen a noticeable improvement and was had more focus on and able to go through some of the like different game chats and other responsibilities and that I have going on in my life. But the other helper part about that was like the sleep aid one, and then obviously with all the extra stress I've been dealing with, it's really been nice to be able to take that at nighttime and just be able to kind of calm you down and then make you all set to go to sleep. So
Mm,
I definitely had noticed an impact there, where like if you're got a lot going on, that it easily just kind of calms you down, and then you're able to easily just kind of drift off into like a nice and restful sleep there. So I definitely have saw an improvement in both of those two regards there.
that's cool. And Barry in the chat is saying that the sleep ones are magical, which I'm sure is helping him a lot since he has a little one in the house as well. But I think one of the main reasons why New Year's resolutions are tough to keep is because it's overwhelming to commit to something all year. And you even said, Greg, it's you don't even hardly do New Year's resolutions anymore. And I think a lot of people are in that same boat. But what if you committed to just 7 days in a 7-day challenge? Magic Mind and we at Nintendo Fuse are issuing a 7-day challenge. You can try out Magic Mind for 7 days in a row and see how it impacts your mind, your focus, and your efficiency. It's 100% safe, made from third-party tested ingredients, created with scientific advisory board of doctors and medical researchers. It contains all of your daily vitamin C and D, and it's sourced from some of the best suppliers. They spent over 10 years and made over 100 formulas to perfect this. And all three of us, Barry, Greg, and I, have been drinking it for a while and experienced more focus, more calmness, more less stress as well. So if you want to take the challenge, you can get your Magic Mind shots. You can buy it at your local Sprouts or Central Market or Erewhon grocery stores, or you can head over to magicmind.com/NF20. That's for Nintendo Fuse 20. So NF20, where you can save over 48%. That's right, 48% on your first subscription, or you can save 20% off a one-time purchase with the code NF20 at checkout. So Magic Mind is also so confident that in their product that they will offer you a 100% refund with no questions asked up to 100 days after your purchase if you don't like it. So head over to magicmind.com/NF20 to learn more and take that 7-day challenge with you. We just want to issue that challenge, take it for 7 days, try it for 7 days, see what it actually does for you. And if you don't like it, if you want to send it back, they will give you a 100% refund on that, no questions asked. But we think you'll actually find, like us, that this actually does make a difference in your daily life. So thank you so much to Magic Mind for sponsoring this episode and for supplying some of the shots for us to try ourselves. So let's move into our headlines for this episode, and we have just a few headlines we want to go over for this episode. So we'll jump in here at the beginning, and the first thing we want to tell you is that the Nintendo Switch has officially passed the 150 million units sold. They're sitting at 150.86 million units specifically, and that still puts them at number 3 overall, behind the Nintendo DS and the PlayStation 2. And just for reference, the DS sold 154.02 million, which is just barely more than that, and the PlayStation 2 is somewhere around 160 million, because apparently Sony just keeps finding more sales sometimes and just wants to add it to that. So we'll see if the Switch officially catches up or not.
All right, some news around the Nintendo Switch Online service. So first, I guess it was kind of posted that that the service will be getting more expensive in a few regions. Unfortunately, it's more for like the countries in Latin America specifically. So I guess like the effects will be ranging between 11 to 25% of an increase, along with those effects taking place on March 1st. So unfortunately, those that are subscribed there, you'll be having to pay a little bit more to continue to enjoy the NSO online service. And then also kind of along with that, the Nintendo president did announce that the Switch Online membership levels have kind of like been stabilized through the holiday season, so they didn't see like any dip or decrease in the membership numbers. So that was kind of great to see that um, a lot of the fans are still enjoying the service and not just like using it for like a few months and then canceling and getting rid of it. And it probably has something to do with the musical app or whatever that we have ongoing as well too. It requires the subscription, but
Yeah.
it's still great to see that the service is doing good.
Well, speaking of that music app, we've got some more updates. On February 3rd, we got the soundtrack for Super Mario World that was added to Nintendo Music. And then on February 9th, the soundtrack for Golden Sun was added to Nintendo Music as well. So, along with a bunch of other games, Pokemon Legends, Super Mario Kart, all the most of the Zelda games so far. So it's been really cool to see more and more music added to the Nintendo Music app.
Another thing that was confirmed from the recent the investment meeting is that the Nintendo president also confirmed that they're continuing their development into the mobile space. So this means that there'll be more apps similar to the aforementioned musical app, or even some new games that hopefully will stay online a little bit longer than a lot of their other games that have either gone offline or become more along the lines of like Super Mario Run, where it's just paid one time and you get to enjoy it as long as they have it up.
Nice. Well, the Nintendo Switch Online app continues to grow. Wario, who first popped up in Super Mario Land for the Game Boy, continued on to his own series. And we have Wario Land 4 that's now available on the Nintendo Switch Online app for Game Boy Advance library. So if you've never played Wario Land 4, now you can play it if you have an NSO membership, but also you can play it maybe to remember what Wario Land 4 was all about as well. Again, that's now on the Game Boy Advance library for the Nintendo Switch Online.
And here at Nintendo Fuse, we absolutely love the game Cat Quest 3, and then they recently just provided a major game update called a Mew Game Mode. So it's kind of like the traditional new game mode style. There's a bunch of different modifiers that take place within this mode. Like specifically, you only get 9 lives, similar to kind of how it's joked that cats only have 9 lives. And then there's like also some enemies that are stronger than normal. And then there are like some things where you can't even use weapons or armor, and other things where you can only use spells, and like you can't advance your level throughout the game. So there's all these different things to further challenge those that have fully completed the first game around. So that's really cool to see that they're still adding more content to this really awesome adventure game.
Nice. And if you've been playing Tetris or wanting to play Tetris like myself, Tetris 99 still chugging out the updates. The Maximus Cup is now happening, and I believe it's been going on for 6 years, I think. And we have a new Maximus Cup, the 45th one, and it is featuring Donkey Kong Country Returns. Of course, that's going to be starting on February 13th at 11 p.m. Pacific time and going until February 17th at 10:59 p.m. Pacific time. So if you want to get a theme from Donkey Kong Country Returns, you can go over and play Tetris 99 during that time. I also think I think I made a mistake. The Wario Land 4 is not going to be available until February 13th or 14th as well. So it's not yet there. I mean, as of this recording, you still have like 4 days to still there are 3 days, just 2 days. I can't even do math.
Time
Man,
traveling seems back in.
yeah, I'm back into it. 2 days away before you can actually get it. So yeah, it's still coming soon. So maybe by the time you listen to it, it might already be there. So, Greg, what stands out to you from these headlines?
I Yeah, definitely the achievement of all the console sales, that's still pretty great to see. Obviously it kind of stinks that Sony just keeps moving the goalposts back. It's like, oh, we found another receipt on the floor that another PlayStation 2 was sold, even though and there's people like joking that they're counting all the resales from like GameStop and other places that used to have all those and stuff too. But it's kind of funny around that. But also the other interesting tidbit about that is I think the Switch like has like outsold like the either the DS or even like the PS2 in certain regions, but obviously it's still not enough to take the global over wide sales. Like that's I thought that was kind of interesting that they had. I know that we didn't really cover that with the headline, but I know it's related to that. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, in terms of like the NSO, it kind of obviously stinks for those in Latin America that will be having a increased price because obviously the service is not even, at least the internet play is not quite the best. I know all the features and other optional stuff is incredible. Like the NSO has finally gotten lots of different games and lots of different consoles to play on the apps and everything. So those have seen some pretty good support and a good range of games, but obviously like the actual online play hasn't been the most talked about or strongest part of the service. But yeah, it's still great to see that the membership is still like maintained and all that with that too. Just like I was just listening to Super Mario World like in the car again like today, so like it was great to see that that was added and hear some good classic tunes just while chilling in the car. And then obviously with Golden Sun, that's great that they're continuing to add other games as well. I guess it's still a no-brainer that they're still working at the mobile stuff, especially if they're expanding like the theme parks. So before we know it, there'll be like an app that's specific to the theme park and help you navigate around or even do extra features around the park. So it's no surprise that they're still looking to keep their IP on like the mobile devices to try to help sell like more Switch consoles or even Switch 2 consoles.
Yeah. Actually, Greg, there already exists one for the theme park. You're going to get to experience it pretty soon.
Yep, that's why I didn't even know about it. I didn't realize it
Yep.
was already quite there yet, but, I guess, yeah, there's still more games or maybe even new things we didn't know we wanted yet that they're developing. Still great that Wario Land 4 will be coming here soon. I don't think I've played that one on Game Boy Advance, but it would be kinda cool to see the Wario Land platformer games. Not quite sure if I'll try the Mew game mode in Cat Quest 3, but as I even said during the headline, it's great that they provided a good update to add some more content to the game and allow those that really enjoy the game to be able to further challenge themselves through that more difficult mode. And then pretty much with the Maximus Cup, I've mostly avoided just about nearly like all of them so far over the 6 years. So I don't think the Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is going to be like, oh yeah, let's start that up and continue there. So I know I did like initially before the Maximus Cup, but I've never really actually participated in the Maximus Cup. I don't believe.
Yeah. I think I did like the first couple, but I'm with you, Greg. I almost got a perfect track record that I've avoided all 45 of them. So I might as well keep it up.
I think there was actually one that I did, and I think it was tied to the Super Mario Brothers, like, 35, I think, when they
Okay.
did, like, that, because I think there was, like, a special, like, reward point thing that they were doing with, like, the 35th anniversary. So I think I did do that one Tetris Maximus Cup thing, 'cause I feel like I remember there being something around that time frame, but,
Yeah.
other than that, I mean, I did try to play, like, the original Tetris one, I think, when it came out, but I only played, like, a round or 2 and didn't even unlock the special thing, and I was like, "Ah, I don't really feel like grinding this out."
Yeah. 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 Tetris 99, the Maximus Cup stuff. I mean, in general, Tetris 99 is fun. I just realized I'm not good enough. Uh, but the Maximus
Yep.
Cup stuff, I mean, it's cool that you can get all these like themes, but I don't care about themes as much. Like, and I would just collect them to collect them, and it's digital collection, and I don't really need that. So I think we're probably on the same page with that.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to go through and collect everything in Mario Brothers 35, like, all the different maps, because like, it actually, like, unlocks, like, the maps for you to, like, practice on, but then it was like,
Yeah.
"Well, what's the point? It's just going away." Like,
Right.
they'll just pull the plug and then it won't be playable one day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like if it goes the same way as your Simpsons tapped out and your Mario 35, then what's the point in continuing to collect things in Tetris 99?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for Nintendo for having the Switch sales numbers going up and stuff. I am interested to see what Sony does with that as well. And like you said, like will they continue to move that goalpost and will Switch ever really catch up? We don't know, but just in general, I mean, it's clear that Nintendo it has a winner on their hands with the Nintendo Switch, and sales numbers are gonna be there. I'm interested to see like long term what that means for Switch 2 numbers. Like a lot of people are predicting that Switch 2 numbers will not be as high as Switch 1. I think I understand that in a lot of ways because Switch 1 is still around. It's still selling great. It's still a great system. You probably won't get 100% of those people also buying a Switch 2. Similarly, because I think with Switch 1, there's a lot of homes, especially homes that have multiple kids in the house or whatever, too. You're buying multiple systems for one house. And I don't know if all those systems are going to get upgraded to a Switch 2 at least right away. And so we're probably going to see lower numbers for that. But in general, it's cool to for a game company that we really enjoy to see doing well. Um, yeah, but unfortunate, like you said, some of the prices for NSO and other regions going up. That stinks. But I guess it happens sometimes. And we may eventually face something similar in the States as well. Um, I'm interested. I mean, I think I talked about this in my predictions for this year. We may actually see an increase for ours as well. Hopefully, that comes along with some new features and things that are worthwhile to pay more. But I inflation's a real thing and all that stuff. I'm sure they'll increase the price similar to what Microsoft and PlayStation have over time. It used to, I think it started off with like $35 or something like that for one, and jumped up to 40 and 50 and 60 and keeps going up. But if you want all the other additional features on both Xbox and PlayStation, um, but seeing Wario Land 5 or 4 and Cat Quest updates, all those stuff is pretty fun as well.
Yeah, I guess in terms of like the even like the NSO thing that you were just like saying, it's I guess they also need to make sure they have like dedicated game servers and stuff. I think that's like one of the main issues with like the service because if you have somebody with like a very weak internet connection, that pretty much makes the entire game suffer, like the online experience suffer, and that's kind of why like Smash Brothers and the like Mario Kart get issues with lag is because you got somebody with barely online playable internet that's in the lobby, and then it makes it awful. And that's where I was kind of hinting at before. They kind of need to fix the actual multiplayer experience if they actually want to increase the price of it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think I'd like to see. I mean, and Greg, I think you're probably more familiar with this because you're in the software world. But the whole idea of like, was it because Nintendo's always done the peer to peer connection, right? So
yeah.
like it's really dependent on each player's individual internet speeds. But I know some other systems do like it's based on the server speed. So like you're all connecting to the same server. Could we see do you think we could see any changes in that for Switch 2?
I mean, it could technically come at any point that they want to. It's just they have to
Okay.
kind of. I don't know how easy it is to kind of change the service at that kind of level, but I would think that there should be something they could do for like an update to actually have like a proper game server for at least for like Mario Kart and even like Smash Brothers and whatever. But it would be really great for them to have that just across the board, even for Splatoon and other games that are kind of very dependent on maintaining a strong connection.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be great to be able to see that for sure. And yeah, if they want those games to actually be good contenders in the esports world, you've got to have solid connections for people to be able to play those and have be able to have teams that they have online tournaments and everything like that. You can't have lag messing up some big tournaments like that. And so that's interesting because I feel like I don't know. I know it's not that's not needed for every game, but it would be nice for some games to start to get that sort of thing. Um,
Yeah, I think they should try to go in that direction if they can, but and I think that's what actually would warrant like a price increase if they actually were to do that. And so I think usually it's kind of get what you pay for kind of thing. So I understand that we're having the weaker peer-to-peer thing, but we're also not paying the same amount as like the Xbox or the PlayStation one that has stronger game servers and stuff.
right, right. I mean, for a long time we didn't pay anything at all.
Yep.
So gone are those days. But also we're still not in a great situation with online gaming. So it's like, hey, we're paying money now. It'd be nice to see that continue to increase and get better.
Yeah, because like I know even like Mario Maker 2 was really struggling with like the with that peer-to-peer thing. So like
Mm,
that was not very good there.
mm, bummer. Well, let's slide into our main discussion, and we're actually going to be talking a lot about Switch 2 for our main discussion today. One of the first things we wanted to mention is that the Nintendo Direct that we talked about on last episode that's going to be happening on April 2nd. It has an official time, and so that's going to be on April 2nd at 6 a.m. Pacific time, and so 6 a.m. Pacific time on April 2nd is when we're going to get a closer look at the Nintendo Switch 2. And that's basically all Nintendo has told us is we're just going to get a closer look. So we don't know what they're going to show. We are hoping for something longer than 5 minutes, but we'll see. We've talked about Greg and Barry and I have talked about doing a live reaction to that as well. So stay tuned as we kind of try to figure out all those details about what that could look like and everything. I think the biggest thing that I'm kind of hesitant on doing that is if Nintendo throws this 5 minute or 4 minute like thing at us and we're like, really? I woke up this early to react to this. It's like 3 minutes and it's over. But hopefully that won't be the case. It's gonna be a full Nintendo Direct. So I don't think they would call it a Direct if it was just gonna be a 3 minute video. What do you think about this, Greg? Are you excited about waking up? I mean, it's not as early for you. It's like 9 o'clock your time,
Well, as 8 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock for
or eight
Barry,
o'clock,
but
9 o'clock for Barry.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
it's
I mean,
it's kind of early for me, 7. So
yeah, I fully get that. I mean, I would also hate to be on the Pacific Coast where it's like 6 a.m. Like, oh, I don't want to know if I want to wake up for
right.
that, but then you also don't want to like just see recaps. It's like we kind of want to watch it live, so you have to make do. But um, I am pretty excited for this because since they are actually calling it a direct, I think it'll be actually more kind of similar to how like they even covered like the Wii U and stuff like in the direct and like the on stage kind of thing that they were able to do back then. And I think that was a little bit better of an approach. I know for like the Switch initial one, it was like that deep dive, and it was like a weird like investors thing where I felt like some parts kind of seemed like it was kind of elongated and like overly focused on stuff that might not have been necessarily super important. At least it didn't really feel like it because obviously the way the Joy Cons were had like all those like here's the IR camera, here's it also has like this HD rumble, and then like they were trying to like do like thousands of examples of like why you would use either one of those things. That's where it kind of got kind of nuanced and like, well, how does this really like do you really have to dive into this like right now kind of thing, or like you can't just put that like could have been a email about it kind of thing like the joke is usually. But with this more formatted as an actual direct, I feel like they can keep things like kind of plain and simple. Like, okay, here's like the price point, here's the release date, here's like some of the different features that kind of how it differentiates from the first Switch, and like they can dive into everything that's more specific. And then obviously, then the main hot part of it will be like here's all the different launch games that will be available like
Mhm.
in the launch time, and maybe even like a teaser or two for games that will be released like within like 6 to 9 or even a year ahead of that too. So like I
Mm.
think they did that like with the first Switch or whatever. I think there was like a initial reveal that I think that was part of that presentation that was still a lot longer away, but unless I'm thinking of a different game. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know there'll be a lot of games that are highly focused in that launch cycle and also like the within like a month or two, like the launch window kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard for me to remember back then. I should probably go back and watch that at some point just for nostalgia's sake, but also remember what they did. Um, yeah, so you're thinking full direct there here. That's we're gonna see like all the different features. We're gonna get a release date, price, and several games. That makes sense, I guess. So
Yeah, I still see like a 40 or so minute direct because that's how they're naming it as a direct, and then it's gonna be I think somewhere around like 15-20 minutes just on the console and like the specifics around it, like features and price point and availability, and then obviously a number of trailers for the different games.
hmm, yeah, it'd be interesting too to see because I know third parties have had this apparently for quite a long time, at least according to some of the rumors and things like that. And so I'm wondering too if they bring more third parties in on this, and we see maybe even could we actually see EA like saying Madden is coming to Nintendo Switch 2 or something, or bringing some of those developers on as interviews or separate videos or whatever, and highlighting some third party support. That would be cool. I mean, at this point, we're just kind of speculating a little bit, but that would excite me, and I think it would excite a lot more people as well if we saw something like that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. It would be nice to see some more third party support, and unfortunately, it'll probably be more like the sizzle reel portion of the direct too. So it's be like, oh, by the way, here's a bunch of games you can play, and it's like 6 seconds. Here's like someone playing Madden. Here's someone playing FIFA. Here's someone playing like Elden Ring. And it's it's like spit firing like all these different games or something like that. I mean,
Hmm. Yeah. So with this April 2nd direct, you got any more thoughts? Has your prediction changed with when it's going to launch?
I actually don't think so, because I know I was usually thinking it was gonna be right around, like, June would be the earliest that we would see it, and I think it is, I guess, partially concerned with the confirmed due to the way that that Switch 2 tour is doing, like, there's
Hmm.
even if after it's here in the States in, like, April, but then it's still going more worldwide throughout May, so then it'd be kinda silly to have the console launch while those are still kinda, like, ongoing and kinda spoils, like, the people that are, like, going to those ones in May, so then it seems like June would be the earliest it would launch, potentially, and then that would line up pretty much where my prediction was back in January.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, like I've been thinking about that too, especially with those times where you can go and check it out, and like they probably wouldn't. I mean, maybe they would. Maybe they'd release it in the middle of all that. I mean, they've done stuff like that before, but at the same time, like I would think they'd probably try to get those out ahead of time before the launch. But so I don't know. I feel like it's got to be somewhere in that maybe May to September, maybe time frame at this point.
Yeah, because I have seen some of the conspiracy theories, like, with, like, the 2, so, like, the Switch teaser trailer was, like, 2 minutes and 22 seconds, and then it was, like, people, like, were calculating, like, "Oh, based on, like, when the actual, like, showcase of the Switch was exactly, like, 50 days or whatever that it launched, like, worldwide afterwards," and, like, there's people, like, that are, like, really, like, diving deep to, like, try to make connections, like, with, like, the 2 specifically, and it's like
People nowadays, I mean, like, clearly people like Taylor Swift put a lot of thought into their albums and things like that. And there's all these hidden things. I don't know if Nintendo's really doing all that.
like some sort of subliminal messaging kind of thing. 'Cause I mean, the direct is already coming on like the 2nd of April, so like it also has like that too, like in there as well too.
That's true. That's true. That I could see them possibly releasing it on another two. What other twos do we have that would make sense? Like, is systems usually they launch on Fridays most of the time, don't they? Is that
Um, yeah,
I'm pulling that out of the air. I just feel like I remember Fridays in most of the launches.
I think actually most of them were more Sundays, at least back for like the Nintendo 64, I think. But I
It's true. I
believe the
think
Switch
Wii was
1
also
was a
on a Sunday.
Friday. But I think the Switch 1 was the Friday the 3rd. I think that was a Friday.
Okay,
'Cause I think I remember
so
trying to like take off from that Friday just to enjoy this like system or whatever.
okay, yeah. So if they've been all over the place, that there goes my theory. Um, I was just thinking maybe we could find a two that's also on a Friday that might work out. We can nail it down.
The 2nd Friday of this month.
There we go. There we go. That's what it's going to be. So also talking about the Nintendo Switch, but the Switch 2, but also Switch 1, in the investment briefing that we talked about earlier, Nintendo's president Furukawa stated that we are well aware that inflation is currently rising and that the exchange rate environment has changed significantly since the launch of the Nintendo Switch in 2017. We also need to consider the affordable prices that customers expect from Nintendo products. When considering the price of our products, we believe that it is necessary to consider these factors from multiple angles. And at this time, we cannot announce the specific price of the Nintendo Switch 2, but we are considering taking into account various points. And there's also been some talks about the Nintendo Switch 1 prices, and noted that the company will need to consider the affordable prices that customers expect from Nintendo products. And it looks like that Nintendo Switch 1 prices will be staying the same and probably not changing in the near future. And then they will price the Switch 2 accordingly, most likely above the Switch 1 price. And so, yeah, this is interesting too. I mean, at the in the investor briefing, they say we don't have a price yet. Will we get a price by the Nintendo Direct? I assumed so, but then after hearing him say this in the investor briefing, I'm like, well, maybe we won't get a price. Maybe they're gonna trickle that out later. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it's kind of hard to know. I mean, I would think that they would need to say what the price point is, because otherwise, how are we going to be able to pre-order the console? So, I
That's
mean,
true.
if if the console is going to be up for pre-order shortly after the direct or within like the first 24, 48 hours of it, then the customer is going to have to kind of need to figure out how much it's going to be. So, um, I would think that they unfortunately have to have that like kind of announced at this direct.
You would think, yeah. I know the article goes on and says that that Furukawa has said a lot about taking measures against scalpers as well, which is interesting because I think it's so tough. Because when it comes to that, like how will they be taking measures against that? Like because Best Buy and GameStop and Amazon, they don't care who buys it. They just care that they've sold these systems because that means money in their pocket as well. And so, like, I don't know how Nintendo's actually going to, combat any scalpers. Like, they can say, okay, all stores need a limit to one per person or two per people, but like that's gonna that maybe makes stores upset and everything because they're like, I don't care who buys these. We just want to sell a bunch of them. Um, so it's cool that I'm glad as a customer. I'm glad that is on their mind because I want to be able to get this system and I want other people to be able to get this system. I don't want you to have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to buy it from a scalper on eBay later. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I wonder how they're going to do that. And also, I'm glad that it's not up to me because I have no idea how to combat that.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like the rumblings, like rumors, like even like last year, like they've been like already been producing like a lot of these things already, and I know we even had that on further episodes. I mean, it really ultimately depends if they're really going to have a sufficient stock, like to dissipate a lot of like early adopters. I mean, I understand a lot of Nintendo consoles do get mostly a ton of early adopters, but I mean, would think that they have enough like stock to try to account for that, and even for those that might want to have like whatever second one for like a kid or a spouse or something like that as well too. But I mean, it would be obviously really great to not have like people to be able to buy like 50 of them or whatever, just take a whole pallet of them, but
Yeah.
because they're just going to be listing them on eBay or whatever other sites to get make like a bang over buck on it. So
Hmm.
I guess
Yeah.
it's going to also depend if they're going to have different models or whatever, like one that has like more or less storage space, or if they're going to take the awful PlayStation Xbox route and say this one's not going to have a physical cartridge slot or something. I mean, it's really going to depend on if they're going to be doing something like that. But
Yeah.
obviously, I don't think that's the case where they would avoid the cartridge slot. That'd be awful. But um, yeah, like they could technically do whatever they want, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now, get this. Make sure I get this right. Is the regular Switch is basically $300? Because I think
Yep.
the Switch Lite it runs at one or 250, 200,
I, I I think it's actually 200. I think.
or maybe it's somewhere like 220 or something like that. Maybe somewhere in the middle. And then the OLED is 350.
Yeah, I
Is
believe.
that
Yeah,
right?
that.
So
Yeah,
base
yeah.
Switch is 300, OLED at 350, and that's not changed since launch. So, what do you think? Or what are we thinking at for the price? Are we gonna like would it start at 350, or you think we may top 400 for Nintendo console?
Um, I think I even said in my prediction, I think it was going to probably be closer to four. Because I mean, I understand like with the unfortunate situation our world is in, and especially with our current president, with like tariffs coming into play, I almost feel like that it could certainly, unfortunately, see a $400 price point. I mean, obviously, I'd
Mm,
be very happy if it's less than that, but I think it would also be kind of hard to keep the same price point as of the OLED and also have like well, here's like a Switch 2 that's going to be the same as the OLED. Well, it's like, well, why should I get a Switch 1 OLED if the Switch 2 that's supposedly next gen is like the exact same price. So it
Right.
unfortunately would kind of counteract like that in a way. So like I mean, obviously they want to still sell Switch One consoles, and they usually try to like make sure that they have enough of those to still go around for those that still going to get it. So I can't see a next gen system either starting at the OLED or even less than the OLED.
Yeah, that's a good point. And if they're not planning on dropping the cost or changing the cost for the Switch One, that's what we're those are legitimate numbers we gotta we gotta figure out, and like and they're figuring that
Yeah,
thing out too. So
yeah.
yeah,
Because I mean, if it's like whatever, it's like 375 or something, like right in the middle between four and the OLED, then it's obviously that. Well, why wouldn't I just pay another $25 to get the Switch Two? So then, like
yeah,
then you would kind of like obviously they want you to have the Switch too, but then that also kind of cannibalizes the OLED version if it's like so close in price to it.
right.
So that's
Maybe
why I
they're
really
okay
think
with
it.
that.
Yeah, it all depends. I mean,
Yeah.
they can easily discontinue the OLED and just leave like the regular Switch and the Switch Lite as other options, but I don't know if they'd really want to necessarily do that.
That's an interesting idea. Like what like of course the OLED is a beautiful screen. It's got, I think it's got slightly better battery life and things like that, but do they need an OLED Switch 1 if you've got a Switch 2 out there, especially if the rumors are true and it's only going to be an LCD screen? So, would you want like a better screen on an older system out there than your current system, like your new one? Like, maybe they are going to discontinue it, and the OLED is no longer going to be a thing, and then they just swoop up just barely above that price point for the Switch 2. That'd be interesting.
Yep, all different things that can come into play, and we won't know any of it until I mean, I guess unless it's usually like the discontinuations are more of like a soft like thing. They don't like make a formal announcement about it. Like I remember like when they killed like that Wii Mini that they decided to make right before the Wii U like was
Right.
like out, but then it was like oh they kind of stopped producing the Wii Mini. Like that wasn't like a formal announcement. It was just like it was reported like oh they're not making any like the factories are no longer producing them.
Yeah. That pointless product. And then my Wii is just like a Wii Mini now, because they took all the things away that made it different. Then,
Well, might still play GameCube games. I mean, I know that
oh,
took
that's
that
true.
was
Maybe that's the one differentiating factor, I guess.
yeah.
So, oh, go ahead.
I just was thinking I just saw Barry was gonna be taken off, so a good thing I think the final part of this we were gonna hit like a potential spoiler territory. So I
Yeah,
um
yeah.
unfortunately
I
he'll
I was thinking the
miss that.
exact same thing. It's like good thing he stepped out of the chat. So we are heading into a brief spoiler time here in the podcast, only for like. So we'll explain this spoiler time. We mentioned this on our last episode that for the most part, us three are going to try to stay away from any spoilers that comes with the Switch 2. Primarily those that have like somehow found out things that were not supposed to be public yet, because we enjoy finding out things when we're supposed to find out things. And so we've done a pretty good job of that, and trying to stay away from all those kind of things online. But over the last couple weeks, there have been some patents, and Greg's going to tell us a little more about those in just a bit. But just kind of a warning: if you're watching live, maybe step away for maybe 10 minutes, and then you can come back. Or if you're listening or watching after the fact, kind of skip ahead maybe 5-10 minutes or so, so you can skip this if you don't want to know anything about that whatsoever. So there's your spoiler warning that this is coming. But Greg talks about what we've seen, at least with the patents, because these are things that are not. I mean, maybe it's things Nintendo doesn't want us to know early, but they're not like secrets. They're out there in the public to be found.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much these patents, I guess, were actually just recently fully unpublished and became like official. So I think that's where a lot of people were able to like point to them and like we are getting a source of, I guess, like truth to be had here. So pretty much the first one that I was going to be going over kind of unfortunately was shown in like the news article that I saw, and I was really trying to do my best not to even see it. But when you use like the image of the patent on your actual article, then you still want to like click on it to actually like see more about it. So um, that was the real nature part, and that's kind of why I hate algorithms at point on like social media sites because I was otherwise I would have just like scrolled past it. But since like you show me the darn thing on like the main headline, like the thumbnail, then it's kind of hard to avoid
Right.
there. So um, this first one deals with like the actual Joy-Con, so then it was basically all but confirming the mouse mode patent on the new Joy-Con. So then we did see like the little teaser of it in the introduction video with the Joy-Cons kind of moving along like a table of some sort or surface area, and it was kind of behaving like a mouse like for like this couple 5 seconds. But basically the patent basically shows that the Joy-Cons will indeed be used in that way to like actually do like gameplay feedback and stuff. So, unfortunately, that basically all but confirms that the new Joy Cons will be doing and using that kind of feature there. So, um, I don't know if you want me to go over the other one before talking about both of them, or if you just want to kind of react to the what I just covered there, or
Yeah, we can chat about the mouse mode thing because I think we kind of speculated before because it seemed like that was going to be the case, and it definitely in the trailer it seemed like they were kind of hinting toward it a little bit. I'm just curious like how it's actually going to work. Like, will it be something like I'm intrigued because we have past games like Mario Paint. Maybe they're going to do a new version of Mario Paint. That'd be cool, but like is that gonna be it? Or are we gonna is it gonna be the same thing as like the IR sensor? It's like it's cool for like 2 games and that's it. I think I'm still like they're gonna have to show me like why should I be excited about this feature? Because I think for the most part, like this is touted as a handheld system that I can also play on my TV. So like where does mouse control even come into play in this? How many of us are playing our Switch in a place like I do? And I think me and Barry do sometimes because we'll play on a computer screen at a desk, and sometimes we'll play like that. But I'd say the vast majority of people don't play their Switch like that. And so, what are you even gonna like? Will it move the mouse around on your leg or something, or you're on your couch, or what how's that going to work? But at the same time, I know recent games that I played, with you guys and reviewed them. I think Dungeons 4 was one of the ones I talked about in our game chat, and like this would actually maybe be better if I had mouse control, and so I could see that factoring into it, having touch screen like controls even when you're playing on your TV because you can have a mouse kind of experience. So I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place with this. I'm intrigued, but I'm also kind of skeptical.
yeah, I mean, I obviously see the a huge point if you're doing like in that tabletop mode, but I think that's like the least popular of the three modes, though. I think most people would just prefer to either just have it in your hands, just as handheld mode, or even just play with it on the dock. And then if it is on the dock, you might not necessarily be near a table or a flat surface where you could really utilize it. And then also it might be kind of a difficult to watch the TV where like the little mouse thing is going to be going either. So like there's that kind of thing with it too. But
Mm,
yeah, so that was basically all I had really going on that. But the secondary patent that kind of came forth deals with the new Pro controller. So I guess technically the new Pro controller is going to be able to be separated into two pieces like the Joy-Con, and then essentially that those that allow you to the Pro controller would then allow you to be able to still use like that mouse mode as well. So that was kind of like an interesting shape. I mean, it would still kind of look like a traditional Pro controller, but it would somehow divide in half and you'd be able to hold each piece individually. I mean, it's not exactly the same as like the Joy Cons on that little grip thing, but it's essentially a controller that separates, kind of similar to like the Wii remote and nunchuck kind of thing, but without a cord that like puts them together.
interesting. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Cuz I'm like, really? Do I need this? Can I get one that doesn't separate cuz I mean like I don't know. That would be my thinking. I'm like I don't know, do I need that or not? Like because you're also going to have to put two sensors in there cuz both of them have to operate independently. Um, I guess if it
They could
also if
charge
they also
separate.
yeah, and charge separately. I guess if they also like snapped into the side like that split grip kind of thing, if they could also be used as, additional Joy-Con, that'd be cool. But I don't know if that's part of the patent or not. But that's where my mind goes. Like, could I also
Yeah,
snap them on for better ergonomic grip on the side? That'd be cool.
yeah, I don't think that was actually shown there. It just basically just showed like a whatever, like that little like sideways C kind of shape, like it could be like kind of like connected together to be
Hmm.
one controller, but and also could be separated into two different ones. I don't know if they would fully function as two separate ones, or if it's more just intended just to maybe use one as like for the mouse mode, and you can still use like whatever the left one to still use the joystick or whatever. But I don't
Hmm.
know. It's kind of hard to say until we find out more information, though.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. They're gonna have to prove that one to me if that is in fact the direction they go. Because I know sometimes I don't know how legitimate these be because sometimes like companies will file patents for things that never actually come into fruition. So
Yep,
maybe it's
yep,
just
and
one of
this,
the
yeah,
thoughts.
yeah, this could easily be one of those things too, and that's where I thought that the first one was a lot more concrete, unfortunately, but this could just be something that they were dealing with, and maybe that's not even going to be used. So
Yeah,
you never know.
that's true. So yeah, that if you're kind of looking, watching the video version, waving our hands, this is the end of the spoiler kind of talk. But it is really interesting to think about, and here we are on February 11th, still. So we're still a couple months away before for that Nintendo Direct, but it's gonna be exciting. It's been a long time since we've had a new Nintendo system. So it's kind of a exciting time, a fun time, a little confusing time sometimes, but we're gonna have a lot of fun over the next few months as we're trying to sort through these things until finally on April 2nd. I'd say as well, if you're on our social media or you want to let us know in the comments here on YouTube or jump in our Discord as well. Let us know what you would like to see from us on that Nintendo Direct as well, and we'll try to accomplish that. If you guys want the live reaction, if you'd rather see us just react to it later, or if you want something completely different, like hey, this would be really fun. We want to do some videos and have some fun around this system launch. And so, yeah, let us know if you're in our community. We want to know what you would like to see for that. And like we said, we've got a couple months to plan for it, so we'll try to do our best to accommodate those requests and see what we can have for the Nintendo Switch 2. So it's an interesting time, Greg. I keep
Yep,
looking.
sure is. Yeah,
I keep looking at the system because I have the Nintendo Switch 2 like web page up and it just keeps doing that circular thing that like keeps showing the system over and over and over again. And it's weird like seeing it so much and over and over and over again. I hope it's gonna be like I don't know how I feel about seeing it this far in advance. Like I almost kind of wish they would have waited. But I know they had a lot of other leaks and things like that, and I feel like they kind of had to react a little sooner than maybe they were planning on reacting and dropping it like that.
yeah. I almost feel like they. I mean, I tried to. I did hear other like sites like discuss like they almost felt like they scrambled, and that's why it's only like whatever it was like a 2 minute teaser video. But I feel like this was kind of initially kind of planned. Like the Switch One had like the famous rooftops like stuff, and I think that one like they had to have to be a little bit longer because it was like kind of the first introduction of this hybrid console that'd be like, hey, you can play it on the TV, but then look at this, you could just easily just pull it out of the dock, and then suddenly it's this right there in your hands, and you can continue playing like right there as like you leave like your residence or whatever. So like I think they had to explain a lot more of the actual concept with that first like teaser one, and that kind of led to other things like showing like it did have to show a few more games like Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, and I think there was even a few others that they had shown during that trailer. But um, I think that's where they were able to kind of be more simplistic with the Switch 2, because essentially it's well, we already kind of know like, well, one, it's called the Switch 2, but pretty much everybody should know already at this point, like, what the Switch does and how you can dock it and undock it, and you don't have to spend whatever 2, 3 minutes trying to showcase a lot of people doing essentially that. You could just kinda know that, like, "Hey, this is what it's gonna look like," and, like, we could kinda see, like, all the things that they were kinda adding, how they morphed the first one into the second one, so it's part of that whole part where, like, they just kinda could focus more on just what it looks like and not necessarily have to outline saying like, "Hey, you can play the Switch like this, or you can go to the rooftop here, you can play it at home on your TV, you can play it on the subway," or, like, they didn't have to, like, show all of that, like, this time around.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. What if they did? They come out and showed us, oh wait, we know this already. We've been living in this world for a while.
Yep.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, time will tell, and be interesting to see. What things are made official. We're gonna again try to stay away from the leaks side of things. We may occasionally, talk about patents or things like that they're out there in the public, but we're going to kind of hold strong that we're not really going to cover leaks here on the podcast, so you guys can feel safe when you listen to Nintendo Fuse podcast, because we want to keep you away from those sort of things. And if you want them, there are lots of places out there to find leaks if you want them, but that's not what we're about, and so we're gonna stay away from that.
At least I tried to, at least. I'm sorry
Yeah.
to spoil it if you did catch this segment, but, I almost feel like I just needed to do, like, that early, like, Lent thing and just say, like, "No Facebook until," like,
Right.
Easter, so that I don't, like, see these random sites that, like, go digging and post it, like, 18,000 times, and then the ones that are, like, promoted and, like, "This is recommended for you to see this," and then, of course, that's where I get caught into getting that temptation, or even, like I just outlined, like, I saw the dang patent, like, right in the flipping thumbnail, so it's kind of, like, hard to, like, say, like, you skip that because like, well, that you can kinda see exactly what it was,
Right.
so, um
Uh,
I I almost feel like I need to be, like, on a social media kinda cleanse just to, like,
right.
be trying to skip that stuff.
It's so hard though too, because I know, like, even like years ago, I on my Twitter, which I don't really use near as much anymore, or X. I still can't call it X. But I put on there like words that I want to like mute. And so spoiler, and for a while, like, because I didn't want to be spoiled by like Marvel stuff, and so I just, like, anything Marvel, anything like Iron Man, Avengers, or whatever, just mute it all. I don't want to see it. I want to run the chance of possibly coming across that. And for the most part, I'm able to do that and stay away from it. But there's also, like, this has nothing to do with video games, but there's a couple other YouTube channels that are even like the official thing. I may have mentioned this before in a previous podcast, but like Cobra Kai. I've been watching the Karate Kid reboot or continuation, whatever, Cobra Kai, and I haven't watched this last season at all. And because they're doing in like three sections, and the third section I think is about to come out, and the official Cobra Kai like YouTube channel has been spoiling the last season. I didn't expect them to do it, but so I'm now having to have to mute them. Like, sorry, I can't even pay attention to you because you're ruining this your own show. And not everybody has an account that they want to keep all the time. I'm waiting till it's all out, and then I'm going to sign up for Netflix for 1 month and watch it all. So, but yeah, like, it's so hard to avoid all that. So yeah, that's our statement to you. We will not spoil it in a thumbnail. We will not go over any leaks on this podcast. If we ever do cover things like patents that are public out there, it's because, number one, we really think that it's okay to share with you, and number two, we will always make it very, very, very obvious, like we did on this episode, that we are going to be talking about this for a little bit. Skip ahead if you really want to avoid it. So that's our commitment to you guys moving forward. So
Yep.
let's jump ahead and talk about what games are going to be coming out over the next couple weeks. And well, Greg and I were talking about this before we started recording, and there's not a lot. Our next episode is on February 22nd, I believe, or 25th is the date. So there's not a whole lot of like big games that are coming out. There's going to be some bundles like with Secret Neighbor and Hello Engineer together on February 21st. One of the other big bundles is the Tomb Raider 4 through 6 remastered is coming out on Valentine's Day, February 14th. But there's really not a lot of big games that are going to be coming out over the next couple weeks. Another one that's coming on February 14th is After Love EP. I actually got a review code from that one recently, so I'll be checking that out and talking about it on a future episode and maybe do a review on that as well. Yeah, we're scrolling them on the screen like we normally do if you watch the video version, compliments of Metacritic. But yeah, not a whole lot of big games coming out over the next couple weeks. So, Greg, are you going to be instead hitting over the to your backlog, or any of these brand new games going to stand out to you?
Yeah, I had a look through these brand new ones, and nothing was really standing out here. So, I do have like at least 2 to 3 more game chat games to fully catch up on, and then finally, hopefully, trying to hit that backlog. So, like as we discussed at the opening, I still need to do like the Life is Strange games. I still want to play a lot more of Echoes of Wisdom, and even trying to finish up like Brothership. So, like that's just all that stuff's just been on hold as like the holiday season got like incredibly busy, and then even like this post holiday season we just had a lot of inconvenient like situations come arise through the first 2 months here. So really hoping to get a good stance on the games that we need to do the feature videos on, and then finally be able to enjoy some of those other games that I had started but barely even progressed far enough where I would want to like actually go back and complete it, or at least go like finish it, I guess. Not necessarily
Mm,
complete it. Some of them I will want to complete, but at least some of them to finish.
yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. There's nothing really that stands out at all over the next couple weeks. So it's just which is nice. 'Cause we've got plenty of other games that all I think all three of us are still hoping to play. Some of those are going to be game chats, and some of them are just games that we enjoy. So I'll probably be playing a little more Box Boy, Box Girl. Probably spend a little more time with Tetris Forever here and there. It's kind of a fun, it's just fun having a new Tetris game that I get bought a digital, so I can pretty much play it anytime. Do hope to may probably be able to finish the rest of Life is Strange Double Exposure before the next episode. So that I just got 2 chapters left, so I just got to find the time to make that happen. But I'm excited to play them. But I also, like we've talked about before, like I don't like playing small parts of the chapter. I want to play the whole chapter at one time, and so I need to set aside time to actually do that and focus on something like that. Um, but yeah, I think that's it. And I can't remember if I have a couple more game chats that games that I've not played yet. I need to look over my list, but that's kind of what I'm thinking for the next couple weeks. We want to know what you guys have been, or what you have been playing, but also what you are hoping to play over the next couple weeks until our next episode as well. So if you haven't done so yet, throw those in the live chat, but also in the YouTube comments after the fact, and also over in our Discord. Again, if you haven't followed us on social media or Discord, please be sure to do that. We'd love to have you join in the conversations. There's also a PlayStation, what's it called? The State of Play. I think it's coming up on the 12th. So tomorrow, I think that's happening. So if you're into PlayStation, that should be exciting as well. We've got a dedicated chat in our on our Discord where you can talk all about the State of Play, either before, what you're hoping for, during, while you're watching live, or after the fact. We love kind of the Discord often comes alive when events like that are happening. So yeah, if you haven't jumped over into our Discord, those links are all going to be in the show notes and also the YouTube description as well. Um, yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up. Before we fully wrap up, we just want to thank you. Say thanks again so much to Magic Mind for sponsoring this episode. Head over to magicmind.com/nf20 and you're gonna, or you can follow the link in the show notes or the YouTube description as well, and you're gonna be able to get 48% off your first subscription or 20% off your one-time purchase with using code NF20 at checkout. So head over to magicmind.com/NF20 to learn more about Magic Mind and also get those amazing discounts. And again, thank you so much, Magic Mind, for sponsoring this episode. Greg, anything big happen in your life over the next couple weeks for the next episode on February 25th?
Obviously just like the Valentine's Day kind of celebration stuff that will be this weekend and whatever. So, yeah, I guess if you're gonna be enjoying that, it'll be nice to go out for dinner with my wife and everything, and hope to have a good evening there. And then pretty much we'll probably be hoping just to buckle down and get through some games and stuff. So I know it's supposed to snow pretty heavy here like tomorrow, so um it'll be a nice time to stay inside and not have to be able to play some games and not have to worry about going out into that hot mess. So,
Yeah, yeah. I keep forgetting that Valentine's Day is creeping up here. It's gonna happen, and I'm not gonna be ready for it. Um, but yeah, I'm hoping to get some good game time in this weekend as well. I think it's one of the few weekends that I don't have much going on for the next few weeks or months. And then yeah, there's yeah, as I don't know. Yeah, I've got travel coming up, starting in March, so I actually might have some time that maybe over the next couple weeks might be a time that I actually get some of these games tackled that I've been talking about on episode after episode after episode. And say, oh, I'm actually going to make this happen this time. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We're also planning, or not planning, but it's supposedly going to get a lot of snow as well. I'm interested to see how it actually plays out because we're supposedly in a winter weather advisory right now, but it hasn't. We've got like a dusting of snow so far, and that's about it. So we'll see what we wake up to tomorrow.
yeah, the advisory here is not supposed to arrive until like 1 a.m. or something, is like when it's supposed to
Okay,
actually start. So it'll
after
be
it
interesting,
passes
like
over
when,
us.
yeah, if it's even part of the same system. I haven't really seen like the
Yeah,
radar to see if that's that huge, but or if it's a separate system or whatever. I know
yeah,
being a lot closer to the Great Lakes, there's a lot more of that kind of lake effect garbage too. So,
that's true.
yeah. And I did actually remember something else really quick. I do have a camp out with my daughter the following weekend. It's like the winter camp out for the program that we do, and it's
Hmm,
that one is kind of featured to hopefully go sledding if there is snow. So if the Wisconsin area, whatever, does get some snow, hopefully we'll be able to enjoy that like the following weekend. So
cool. That's really fun. Yeah, I'm hoping to. I'm going to be up in the mountains again in 2 weekends, and we're supposed to go snow tubing when we're up there, so that's always fun. So hopefully, you guys have a good time out there too.
yeah, hopefully you bring your bathing suit to wear in the tube then.
Yeah, I'm not that kind of a person. I am too much of a chicken when it comes to cold weather, so that is not going to happen. But there are
Yeah, it was
people.
full on joke. Yeah, yeah. I know.
Oh
Like I
well,
know
I
there was
would
like a
say there
huge
are
like,
people that do it, not me.
but yeah, here in Chicago, they did the polar bear plunge into Lake Michigan. So, like, I did catch the news article around like that and how popular that gets. So that's not me either. So I'm not one to like, let's go put on a bathing suit and jump in some really cold water. So
No, definitely not me. Yeah, I think I had actually a friend back in New England that did it. I can't remember. It was recently as well. I'm like, you're crazy. Like I know a lot of people do it for raising money for things. I'll just donate money and stay in my warm house instead. Like, I don't need to go out and make myself freeze in the ocean or a really cold lake when I can just donate money and call it a day.
like I know it was a number of years ago, but did you do that ice bucket challenge thing that was
I
for
I
Red
did
Cross
do
or whatever? I
that.
think it's
Yeah. Yeah.
so if they so if
Reluctantly,
they
I did it.
so if they did a challenge where you have to do the polar bear plunge, you'd go do it then to
I
donate
don't
and
know. I don't know. That wasn't as bad. It was also in the summer. So I was
Yeah,
like,
I know.
sure, I'll pour ice on my head in the summer, but in the middle of the winter, I don't know about that. So, well, I think that's good for this episode. We're going to be back again, like I said, on February 25th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, live on YouTube and Twitch. We'd love to have you join us over there. But if you have not also joined us on social media in our Discord, you can hop over there. The links to all that stuff in the YouTube description and the podcast show notes, as well as a link to Magic Mind, and you can get that discount from them, our sponsor, as well. So hopefully Barry is going to be back in good health for our next episode, and you'll have all three of us. But Greg, thanks for joining me tonight, and thank you for all in the chat as well. And we'll catch you next time. But until then, happy gaming, everybody.
See you guys next time. Happy gaming.